Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well, and welcome to today's upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click the bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things, they really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? All right, so today's upload, I am going to hit on a whole bunch of things and talk about a whole bunch of craziness. First and foremost, yesterday's upload, probably one of the craziest experiences I have shared in a long time. Most thought-provoking thing about that is the fact that it happened in late July, early August and of 2015, and Barack Obama had gone up to Seward, Alaska to look at some glaciers and show solidarity to the state of Alaska and Washington, D.C. Does anybody find anything remotely strange about that? You know, like, you're telling me that the thing Barack Obama is thinking about is, you know what? I think I'll go up to Alaska and show some solidarity with them today. Piss poor impersonation, but dead on the on the thought, because you know, it just doesn't make sense. He's not that guy. I don't think there is too many people in politics that are that guy, you know, unless you're a normal person who comes from middle class America, blue collar. You know, Alaska is on my bucket list. And I think for a lot of people that are like me, it is as well, you know, because one, it's the last frontier. Two, it's absolutely gorgeous. You know, it is an untamed wild. But, you know, he's not randomly saying, you know, let's go show some solidarity with this state that's so far away from the rest of the country and make the Alaskans feel like they really belong to the United States. Well, I think they already know they belong. Obviously, I have subscribers from there, and you know, it's just like so dumb that was an excuse. You know, you shouldn't even said anything. You know, just go up there quick, get back. But instead, you know, we got to make a show of everything, don't we? Because that's how our government works, is, hey, you know what? We got to go up there. We got to look at what's going on, but we have to make a show. And it doesn't matter what side of the coin you're on, you know. It's just how it is, you know. But I just find it very interesting because, like I said, you know damn well that he's not that guy. I don't know how many, you know, too many political people that are at this stage of the game, even in 2015. So right there is a key, that something really big did happen there. The lake, White Lake, and the strangeness of how it literally glows on Google Maps. There's 2 White Lakes, and I did give you guys the coordinates. I'm not very good at reading coordinates off, but I will. So the coordinates of this, if you want to look at the glow of it, and I really do mean it. It's just north of the gates of the Arctic National Park and Preserve, but it's 68.342277, and then comma dash 152.663354. And if you type that in, it will bring you right to it. And it's this strange kind of eerie blue color. Like, you scroll out and you can see it still, and it's just this little, small tip of a pen. And it's this really, nothing else is glowing this kind of blue on that map. And then you even go in further and it just stays that really interesting blue. Ironically enough, there is radiation signatures coming from that area from 3 very strange creatures. And a lot did make sense with the whole fact that he did go up there. The president did go up there after being informed by Homeland Security, Department of Defense / CIA. Because, every president, no matter who, does want to have that persona or outward view of them, that they care about every American. If it's one, it's all. And these things did pose a national threat, regardless. They be one American or all of them. And that's the way I look at it. If something poses a threat to one or all, it's still considered a national threat to America. So immediately, that really pops off to me. Now, there's some things that last night I had stopped talking to the gentleman who, and like I said, you've got Department of Defense / CIA, Homeland Security, and the personnel from Fort Wainwright. I did not share where, if any of these, he fit. But, he was part of that, and that's a huge, another huge thing that says, he's very terrified of anything coming out of who he, because in a sense, with Department of Defense and Homeland Security or United States Army, he could be found sharing this information. Treasonous, I guess. So you've got, last night I talked to him pretty late. I recorded this upload, or yesterday's upload, late, and I was drained. I had to hit pause a couple different times because Isabel, my youngest daughter, she's getting old now. She's going to be 18. Wow, time just, I started this channel when she was 10, she kept coming down and I'd hear her come down, so I'd have to stop. And there was a couple of things that I had forgotten to talk about that I had written down. And when I talked to the gentleman today, I was aware that I had forgotten to talk about these things. This morning when I uploaded it, I was like, shit. should I not upload this and just add on to it, or address it tomorrow? And that's why I was like, I'll address it tomorrow with everything else that I want to talk about. So like I said in a video earlier yesterday, or the day before, excuse me, Nephilim and giants, two different kinds of creatures. One is a large humanoid that lacks any kind of supernatural powers. The other has supernatural powers and is another large humanoid. Nephilim, supernatural powers, lacking giant. And I in one of the comments when I was saying that, somebody said Nephilim means fallen ones. And yeah, there's actually two different meanings to it. And it depends on which one you want to take true, How can they be the fallen ones if they are the product of the fallen angel? Makes no sense, right? So it'd be like my dad calling me dad because I'm the product of him. It makes about as much sense as that. No, they are not. They are the product of the fallen ones. So these creatures indeed were Nephilim. They did have supernatural powers. The drone, I truly believe, and the gentleman that shared this with me, we were talking, was transported somehow into a portal or into some sort of dimensional doorway. The first team that came upon them to take them out, when you have the two that are, when they had gone down into the national park / preserve, two are sitting and scrapping amongst themselves while eating either an elk or a moose or whatever. And then that one stands up, the largest one, which is enormous, with patchy hair. It looks like, someone just ranked its hair right out of its head. Bright red hair. And as everything just, stopped, there was no kind of damage done. Firearms stopped working. Two soldiers just gone, found 2 miles away. That right there is supernatural powers. So yeah, these things definitely, in my mind, and in the definition of the words, were Nephilim. And you can look that up. Say, type in difference between giant and Nephilim. Is there a difference? And it literally will state that yes, according to the book of Enoch and the book of giants, this and that. Now, these things were definitely demonic-like creatures. And at the end, when that elite military team came in and finally were able to take them out, he was not aware of, he got bits and pieces of what occurred during that takedown. But they were taken down, they were transported back to Fort Wainwright, they were dead. One of the strangest things that I wanted to share, and I forgot to because my daughter just pissed me off so bad last night on the third time coming down. I was like, oh my God. And then I came back to record. But you've got three huge creatures, 12 and a half, 13 feet, the largest being 14 and a half feet. 850 to 875 pounds. He did not remember the exact weight of the smaller two, but he will never forget the height and weight of the largest because it was 1,285 pounds. Humanoid in a way of 2 arms, 2 legs. They did walk upright. They did have 6 fingers and 6 toes. Red hair. They wore strange kind of coverings. The smaller of the two, this is what I left out, and I really wanted to kind of beat myself up on this one because this is a key fact. The smaller two were definitely 100% male, but the largest of the two, and I did share a little bit about it, but the largest of the two had both male and female lacking breasts, though. Sex glands or sex organs. How strange is that? And that was the one with the most power. That was the one with the power that controlled, that was last seen with, before the drone had disappeared, while the 2 soldiers had disappeared. Firearms stopped working, and that was the strongest one. So right there, something is really, really strange. Were they some sort of genetic creation? Were they inbred? Because obviously if they are offspring of the original Nephilim, you don't hear too many experiences or sightings of female Nephilim or giants. So, obviously there's got to be, right? And now I say yes because of this one right here having both female and male organs, but still lacking breasts. But, are these creatures a product of interbreeding in an inner dimension, where these other Nephilim-like creatures are? The radiation was, the signatures of that radiation was essentially from these creatures. It was coming from them. And that right there is a very interesting thing to think about, because these things are dimensionally traveling. So is that because, is that radiation because of going in between dimensions, going through that doorway, and there being that kind of radiation belt or whatnot? I say belt for one reason, because if these creatures had actually gotten that radiation from traveling dimension to dimension, it would only make sense that quite possibly there would be radiation. Because of the Van Allen radiation belt, which all that is I believe it's an inner circle and an outer circle of magnetically charged or electronically charged particles. And for the longest time, prior to 68, they thought that humans couldn't travel beyond that. Which they did find faults. I'm not sure. I don't know a lot on that. I just know that there is that there. And being that it's outside of our atmosphere, wouldn't it make sense that it would be also within dimensions. There's got to be some sort of energy or, electronically charged something traveling from. There's definitely not a lack of positive or negative energy when you open a doorway. Like when you open a door, you get a wind, you get that kind of wouldn't it be more so on a interdimensional door? And not the way a door opens, but there'd have to be some sort of, I guess, repercussion. So yeah, that is where the radiation stemmed from, was on those creatures, because when I guess Obama had gone to Fort Wainwright to visit these creatures and observe their bodies before they were, I guess from what he is aware of, he heard two different things. He heard that the largest one, had been cryogenically frozen because it was the largest, and the leader of the other two, also that it had powers, and the other two were cremated, essentially burned. And then the other thing that he heard was that both parties, the two Fowlers and the main leader of the bunch, the hermaphroditic one, I guess, would be the best way or definition of that one, that they indeed were kind of embalmed and almost mummified and brought to the Smithsonian, which both options are plausible to me, thinking of how our government and the shady shit that they like to do and the secrets that they like to keep from us. So, those were a couple of things that I did want to touch on with that experience. And what's the deal? The main other thing is that lake. Again, I hate going back to that, but that's where they were first spotted. And just ironically enough, you've got this glowing, and I'm not saying it's glowing when you're there. I don't know. I've never been there, but you have two white lakes within a pretty similar region. White Lake that we are talking about is just north of the gates of the Arctic. And then the other one is just a little south of it. So, but if you can find Chandler Lake, you can find the gate, or you can find the White Lake. It's right above Chandler Lake. So yeah, I mean, that right there is all of the things that I wish I had talked a little bit more in depth on. To me, the biggest I guess proof, or I'm not really sure what word to use, but the biggest reason why I truly believe this experience is, one, he showed me his credentials, but two, the president going up there at that exact month later, less than a month, but and then to find out that the reason was to go and look at Seward, Alaska's glaciers and to show solidarity. Just, you hear that, and I don't care who you voted for back then. It's just like, to me, no person in politics wakes up one day and says, you know what? I'm going to go up to Alaska and show them that, you know, we are with them in solidarity. To me, that's so far-fetched. And then to have all of the experiences coming out of Alaska. You've got thousands of people disappearing every year in Alaska. Every year. And I remember one time, there is a large number of people, but I had talked about this, and someone had said that there's, you know, I had talked the exact kind of number of yearly people that go missing in that region of Alaska. And instead, that a person commented and texted me very hatefully, actually, and said, you're wrong. It's 100,000 go missing a year. And I'm like, if 100,000 people go missing a year in Alaska, there's going to be nobody left in that state. Shit, you know, if you get 100,000 people missing a year in any state for a long period of time, the population of that state is going to decline in, you know, less than 100 years, obviously. According to the National Missing People website, more than 16,000 people have disappeared, including airplane passengers, hikers, locals, and tourists since 1988 and beforehand. That's about 1,000 people per year or whatever. It's a less than that actually now, if you really think about it. But still, that number is absolutely huge for the area of where these people have gone missing. And interestingly enough, this is what I wanted to share with you. The indigenous people, the Tlingit people tell of stories of spiritual gateways and portals, as well as a shape-shifting demon, Kushtaka, said to lure travelers to their doom, which is the otter man. I myself lean towards the portal thing, or UFO, deep underground military bases. Obviously, those things are everywhere, and you know, there's supposedly a large FEMA camp up in Alaska, hidden in the wilds of. So, you know, you've got a lot of crazy stuff that happens up there. Beautiful landscape, but it doesn't surprise me any that there are these types of creatures lurking in the wilds, you know, and especially with deep underground military bases, portals being used. It fits perfectly. And you also have all of the UFO sightings in Alaska. You know, it's just honestly absolutely terrifying to think about how much actually occurs up there and how much power, supernatural power, is up there. And with that being said, that brings us to our next thing. Kirk and the Mount Shasta incident that occurred. That one is by far one of the worst events that I've heard in a long time. And it happened so long ago that this poor guy had to deal with the mental damage for so long that he eventually ended up ending his pain. So yeah, the UFOs and Kirk. This poor guy, 96. I had ended up talking to the girl who reached out to me, Crystal, and I said to her, you know, I don't want that letter. I may talk about the experience periodically like I am right now, but I will not ever share his experience again, because it's heartbreaking to think about. You know, in 96, you know, he dealt with this. He was my age. You know, he dealt with what he endured that time period for almost 30 years. And to feel helpless and hopeless about what you saw and what happened to you is absolutely terrible. And it's crazy because, you know, if you are my age or a little older, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Our time period of growing up. You know, you were hyper. There was a label for it. You know, it's worse now. But it was like my generation was the precursor to what we have now with labels on everything. You know, you were hyper. You weren't just hyper, you know, like the generation before mine, they were just hyper, you know. They were just boys being boys, you know. But my generation, oh, he's got ADD, put him on Ritalin, you know, or you know, ADHD, or can't sit still, can't learn, can't do. Let's put him on some medication. You know, and he did. He suffered from hyperactivity, depression, and this and that, only to be worsened after his event on Mount Shasta, in Mount Shasta. So 96, you've got all this craziness going on in Redding, the Redding area, fugitive searches and such, searching for this fugitive that nobody still to this day knows what this person did and why there was a mass kind of manhunt for this person. Unless there was something going on up there that they didn't want people up there. But, you know, he goes up camping in Sulphur Springs. And the thing of it is when I tell you what was the worst thing that messed him up the worst, is gonna make us, I felt more connected to him at that point. The second Crystal shared that, what she shared with me. So, you know, the last thing he remembers before this event occurred was turning his tent light off and going to bed. You know, hearing some crazy noise off in the distance. going to look and see what it was, and then going to bed. Waking up, the last thing you remember, you're in your tent. You're curled up in your sleeping bag, probably nice and toasty, planning your day, and then the next thing you know, you are on a cold kind of medical table. Best way to put it. And that's how he woke up, in a huge, enormous room with just a nondescript kind of room. And what comes to him is a alien-like being. He's led down this hallway, this corridor that is bright white. Everything is just white and bright. And it almost looks like a zoo of cryptid and other creatures. Dogmen, Bigfoot, crawlers. He sees two massive humanoid creatures that are chained to the floor via their legs and arms. They can't stand, they can't do anything. They are just shackled to the floor, kind of almost sitting like this in front of each other. And then the next thing he witnesses, according to him in his last letter to Crystal, was, after seeing that, is the main reason everything changed for me. Because he then realized that these creatures, these alien creatures, are demonic. Because there's an angelic-like creature in one of these rooms, and it is positioned mocking the crucifix. Somehow, the way it's being suspended is bizarre as well, because you've got some sort of chain on this arm and this arm. Legs are put together and chained. And it's a good 5 feet off the ground. Its feet are 5 feet off the ground. Its arms outstretched. Not going down like that, because if it was just based on the chains on the arms, it would eventually, this thing would lose strength. No matter how strong it is, it would lose strength. So the arms would go to kind of a different position, right? Think about this. How do you suspend something like that? That's, to me, something is supernaturally happening, or some sort of science well above our sorry about that pause. Tigger was knocking at the door. Or some sort of science well above our knowledge, and it was truly mocking the crucifix. And then to see that it did have wings like an angel. And that is the thing that stuck out to him the most. Not these too large, giant-like humanoids, not the dogmen, not the crawlers, not things that he had never seen before, things that mentally just couldn't comprehend, any of us probably. But to see that angelic being, in a sense, being held in a crucified position, he could not deal with that any longer. That was the breaking point for him. On top of him suffering immense pain after the event, he did find certain markings and scars on his body that weren't there after the event, that he did notate during that time period, 96. So it wasn't just, as he got older, he started finding things. It was, I didn't have this scar, I didn't have this bruise. What is this? Why is this, a hard kind of metallic object implanted under my skin? I truly feel the pain for that young man, my age. Can't say young man. Well, I can, I guess. I feel the pain for Kirk, and he was very spiritual. He was very at peace with our Creator, Jesus. And I do have, when I learned that was the one thing that he could not think about anymore, the mockery of our Savior, it made me feel closer to him, because for the longest time I was very spiritual. I was brought up Roman Catholic, and I was brought up by on my mom's side of the family, from my aunt and such, to appreciate and learn and celebrate my Native American heritage. And it's not an Elizabeth Warren Native American heritage. It's true Native American heritage. I have family members that live in Hogansburg Reservation, and it's just so. For the longest time, I truly did not follow the word of God. I relied on the Great Spirit, and I had my good orderly direction, which was the Great Spirit. And then I met Dark Waters, or James, and he helped me turn my life over to Jesus Christ, our Savior, the King of Kings. And since then I've not turned my back on my Native American heritage, but I still am pretty open with the religion, or spirituality, of my Native American past, or past beliefs. But, Jesus is my Savior. And I can see where he would get really fucked up seeing something that resembled an angel being held in a crucified way. Obviously, there were no spikes driven through its hands, or its wrists, actually, and its feet, but it was still being suspended, and that could not have been comfortable at all. It must have been very painful for that angelic creature. But that's what he couldn't deal with anymore, because he he realized that, for the longest time, he thought these things were just, okay, wow, this poor guy. And then I think it's interesting that going back to the alien-like creature that he was accompanied down the hall, that one actually saved him from something that was going to happen. But it resembles the demonic creature that Aleister Crowley summoned. So why I mentioned Crowley and Lamb, the demonic creature he summoned, and these gray aliens, especially with Kirk, and this angelic creature, right, is the picture on the right is Lamb, the creature Crowley summoned. Obviously, gray alien, right? It's kind of it's and ironically enough, if you do a comparison, Lamb kind of resembles. They both kind of resemble Crowley, as well. But Lamb was interdimensional. An interdimensional demon, resembling a gray. These grays had an angelic creature suspended in a crucified form, mocking the Trinity. And in Alaska, you have Nephilim, another biblical, coming out of dimensions, quite possibly, with a radiation signature on them. Puzzle pieces fit. I really truly believe that, this is, and for the longest time, I did not want to think that this was a spiritual war, cryptids, and all of this was a spiritual war. And I'm not saying religious war, because you can believe in Jesus Christ, our Savior, and not be and worship him and love him, and not be a congregant of a church. But that's neither here nor there. It is a spiritual battle, and the demons quite possibly are these reptilian-like aliens and these gray-like aliens. And what did the fallen angels look like? According to the Bible, some of them were reptilian. That's pretty... it's pretty plain to see, Pretty plain to see. And this young guy, Kirk, couldn't deal with it anymore. And I feel so terrible for him, his family. Can't imagine the pain, that mental pain he went through. Because he was spiritual his whole life. He was brought up that the Trinity was real, and Jesus was real, and he was the King of Kings, and he was the Son of God. And then you experience that. So, it's tragic. And I will always remember that experience and everything that he saw. So, this one is for you, Kirk. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for supporting this channel. It is your support that keeps this channel growing and going, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures and events are real and have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives or open their eyes someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth. And God bless you all.